The wartime Elon Musk is here. Driverless cars, robot taxis, and humanoid robots. It is a futuristic vision that's something straight from science fiction. The future has arrived, and that future that Musk has been promising, he still hasn't delivered that.
Bud Light oversaw the biggest brand destruction in the history of business. So Elon Musk said, "Hold my beer," in what he did with Tesla. Welcome to the Sanity Podcast, everybody. Dave Briggs, Allison Camerot, a couple of former Fox News and CNN anchors searching for some sanity in this crazy world. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Very excited to talk Tesla and all things Elon today.
Absolutely. And there's a lot to talk about. In fact, things are changing by the minute.
Oh, man, he's going off, and this will be fun. He and Trump, I think, are about to have it out, and we haven't seen that yet.
Your definition of fun is curious.
Hell yeah, man.
Because if you'll rewind the tape, you'll remember 6 months ago, you predicted that Elon wins in a battle royale between Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
I think I reaffirm that pledge.
You think he's winning today?
I think it's going to be interesting over the next couple of days. I stick with my prediction. Elon wins this thing. Let's figure it out with Tim Higgins. He is the automotive and technology reporter at the Wall Street Journal. He's the author of Power Play, Tesla, Elon Musk, and the Bet of the Century.
He's talking on Twitter about drinking wine and the pills that he's taking, and they weren't illegal pills at the time, but it was nerve-wracking to investors. Where was his mindset? And you talk to people around him in these periods, and there's always concerns about kind of the mercurial way he's operating, what he's doing in his off hours, and that is part of kind of the myth of Musk. What's different in the last 6 months is just that he is at a different level. He is in Washington, and he was in the White House. He was in this kind of very powerful role that just takes so much more scrutiny than he was accustomed to, even though he was probably among the most famous people in the world prior to this.
All right, so let's dive into Tesla. I see the drug-riddled Elon that Allison does with his eyes darting around, whether it's inauguration or at the White House just the other day with the black eye. You see, quote, Angry Elon, and you write in the journal, history has shown it can unleash something fierce, which is Angry Elon, like the Incredible Hulk busting out of his britches and turning green. Tell me about this Angry Elon and how productive can he be for Tesla?
Yeah, it can either be very productive or very distracting. So let's get into why it can be productive. He has one of the things that kind of drives him over the years is this incredible chip on his shoulder, where people tell him whatever he has this dream of doing is not possible. And it goes back to the early days of his business career, and whether that's building reusable rockets that can go into space or making electric cars sexy that people would want to buy, that could be profitable. There were lots of doubters out there, lots of people literally betting against him. And this, in a lot of ways, fueled him, helped him keep that drive to show them wrong. I remember talking to him a number of years ago about a problem he was having at the factory. And I said, well, a lot of people told you this was going to be a mistake and you shouldn't do it. And he looks at me as if I was the crazy one and says, well, people are always telling me that something's not possible. And it's true. You know, a lot of the things he tries to do, people say is not possible. And the kind of the guiding force in his world, how he addresses these kind of challenges is through something he calls first principles. And this is a kind of a physics and philosophy based approach where it gets down to the kind of the atom level. Is physics allow whatever he's attempting to do it? And that's the only, he likes to joke, that's the only law that he pays attention to is the law of physics, right? And so that drives him. And so, yes, we have seen time and time again that him being angry and trying to prove people wrong can fuel him. It also, well, let's just be frank, it can also be a huge distraction. I think about another period in time, everybody's saying he's wrong, he's going to fail. And he gets into this 2018 period where, I don't know if you remember, but he calls somebody involved in an effort to rescue those kids in Thailand in that cave a pedo, right? Well, this creates a huge problem from years of litigation. He ultimately was found not guilty or not in violation of defamation, but still it was a huge distraction for him. And it gets to this idea that sometimes his anger can be helpful and sometimes it can be a distraction.
Tim, do you take Dave's point that there's been brand destruction of Tesla?
I think it's undeniable that there are people out there who were Tesla fans that do no longer want to be involved with that brand. Just today, for example, I was in an Uber. The Uber driver is driving a Ford Mustang Mach-E, the electric car from Ford, and it's brand new. He says he's renting it. And I say, oh, well, why? So, well, I used to be in a Tesla, and the driver tells me that his customers, he was finding customers were canceling on him because he felt like it was because he was driving a Tesla. But when he would get these customers, they would complain to him about it being a Tesla, and he found that his car was being keyed, and he felt like it was always under attack here in San Francisco where I'm talking to you. So he felt like he needed to get a new car to keep doing his Ubering. So he's renting a Ford electric car. Undeniable that this driver feels like he's targeted because of his Tesla. Now, Elon Musk would argue, well, now he's appealing to other people out there, Republicans who maybe will be brought into the brand. The challenge here is if you look at the kind of historical data of who buys EVs, it trends and leans towards Democrats buying electric vehicles, Republicans not so much. When we look at the sales falling, that's a challenge.
And of course, it's the Bud Light moment that everyone compare this to. Scott Galloway calls this one of the greatest brand destructions of all time. I think the quantify that I see is Axios has a brand reputation study. In 2021, Tesla was 8th in the world. They are now 95th. How does
95th
this
in what? Just
95th in all companies in
Wow.
terms of their, which is not bad. But to go from 8th to 95th in just a 4-year span is astounding. So, Tim, how does this compare to Bud Light?
This is the thing that's interesting about what Elon is doing or what Musk is doing with Tesla right now. Let's put aside this political thing. Sales are down in part, without a doubt, because of this political issue. Another challenge for the company is that it hasn't really updated its product lineup in years. I mean, yes, the Cybertruck, but the Cybertruck is a niche product.
And a disaster, right? The Cybertruck
We'll
didn't
get to
work,
that in a
right?
minute. We'll get to that in a minute. We got a full segment.
Oh yeah. So, but my broader point is he hasn't been putting the resources into building or designing or bringing out new products to appeal to the masses. It's all because of his broader strategy, his bigger bet for the company. He is pivoting away from really the idea of the company being about selling cars to people for them to drive to a robotics company. That the future of Tesla, the valuation of Tesla, which is now more than $1 trillion, the only car company in the world to be valued more than $1 trillion, the only car company to ever be valued at $1 trillion, is because of the future of robotics, driverless cars, robot taxis, and humanoid robots that aim to replace you and me in the workplace, to walk the dog, to do the dishes. It is a futuristic vision that's something straight from science fiction that a lot of people, investors in Tesla, have bought into, and that's why the valuation is so high. And so the sale of cars is not the future in his mind. So if you are unhappy because of his politics and not buying the car to drive, you are going to be swayed because the future is so bright. That's the gamble that he's making.
Not all investors are on board with that. We recently talked to Ross Gerber, one of the OG investors who I'm sure you know well in Tesla. Here's what he told us about that fully autonomous driving that we're going to see take shape later this month in Austin, Texas. Here's Gerber.
You live in Austin, yeah. They're going to be testing those cabs in Austin, and they don't work. So calling it full self-driving is just a lie at this point. It's not even close to full self-driving. It's called you supervise driver assist programs. What it is it's not safe. Like, there's no way I would turn it on and get in the back seat and just trust it to drive me to work right now, but I get in a Waymo and I do all the time, and they just drive you around and you don't even think twice now.
Tim, he has hundreds of thousands of shares in Tesla.
Investors have been listening to Musk talk about this promise of autonomous vehicles, this promise of robot taxis for many years now. Often Musk has been talking about how the technology is about to be deployed by Tesla. It's just around the corner. And there clearly are people who are tired of the promise and want to see him execute. And so this is a moment, this summer is a moment for Musk to execute. Patience is running thin. Yet there are a lot of people who are excited about this future and betting that he can usher it in. But there are an increasing number of people who are questioning if he can execute, in part because he has not yet shown, has not demonstrated the ability to put robot cars on public streets and pull the people out. Now, he says he's done it. There are some reports that they're working on it in Austin. We're about to see it. But to the point here is that I live in San Francisco. I see robot taxis on the roadway every day. In fact, just a few minutes ago, I saw 3 lined up together. I mean, these things are becoming ubiquitous in places like San Francisco. Increasingly, you're seeing them in places like Los Angeles. The future has arrived, and that future that Musk has been promising about robot taxis, he still hasn't delivered that. So this is a moment that people are hoping that anger that we talked about is an indication that the wartime Elon Musk is here and to execute.
I can't wait to read your next book about the minivan, but the prior book is a pretty good one. Power Play, Tesla, Elon Musk, and the Bet of the Century. That minivan book is going to kill. Tim Higgins, automotive and technology reporter for the Wall Street Journal. Please like this video, subscribe on YouTube. Tim, we really appreciate it. It was fun.
Thank you.